So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try something a little bit different. I'm going to do a 2-camera setup. I borrowed Cool Guy 2258's camera setup from when he does his Let's Plays and so on. And what I'm going to do is I have got that other one just out of view to the side here, focusing down on the table here, which is why I got my damn mat out of the way. So that way we can do a little bit more of a close-up as we open up, as I unbox this. So we're going to switch to the other camera now. This is how it looks. It is the Drift Ghost 4K in the packaging. On the back it lists some of the features. I've already cut the little tapes that hold it in place, and we're going to slide that out of the way and have a look at this. So let's open this up and have a quick peek. And what we have here real quick, we have on the side, we've got these stick-on mounts. So this is a curved mount. There's a slight curve to it here, and this is a type that typically you would use on your mask. We have the flat mount. And I've got a whole ton of these. I haven't really found much use for them because most paintball related stuff isn't really flat. We have the clip. If we can get it out, it seems a bit stuck in there. There we go. So this is the clip, and it's a standard tripod, whole size tripod screw on the underside, and this clips in. And this just clips in to the little mounts that are stuck on your mask. And this is the same type of mounting system that Drift used for their Stealth and for the Ghost 2 as well, which is really nice, and we're going to come back to why that is in a moment. Why it's really nice in a moment. The other thing we have here is this square little nubbin, and if we pull this out, this is actually their brand new remote. And I've read online that this strap is only about 10 inches long, so if you put it around your bare wrist, it is really not an issue because there's plenty of overlap there. However, if you want to put it over top of a jersey, or if you're playing in winter over top of your jacket, it is a little bit short for doing that. You can easily take it out, however, and if you can look closely there, there's 2 little tiny holes there, so you could put a lanyard around this and just tie it onto something, dangle it off, whatever. There are no holes in this for actually plugging in and charging, because it actually just uses a standard button cell type of a battery. So you just would open that with a little dime or something and swap out the battery. I don't really know how long the battery will last. That is a concern that a few people have expressed. However, nobody really seems to have the answer for that. And it's really easy to pop this back inside the little rubber doodad, and there we are, all put back together again. So next up, we have the not terribly exciting manual, which we'll have a quick peek at. We've got some stickers, of course. Stickers are awesome. We have the manual itself with the instructions, the specifications, and so on. And let's just get this stuff out of the way, and then we can have a look at the main attraction, as it were. And the main attraction is right here. I'm going to put all this stuff out of the way over here, and then we can have a look at the camera itself. It is actually much smaller than I expected it to be. So that's the brand new Ghost 4K. Now, if we want to compare, we can look at the Drift Stealth 2, and they're almost about the same size. They're in terms of front to back, they're about the same size. The 4K is a little bit thicker. This is the 4K down here. It's a little bit thicker, but they're actually almost the exact same height, as you can see, and almost the exact same length as well. And then finally, if we bring in the big one that I've been using all along, this is the Ghost S. And so that is quite a bit bigger in comparison to the others. And it's remarkable because this one does 1080p 60. This one only does 1080p 30. So you cannot get the same type of high frame rates out of this one. It's a really good camera, however. I've given away a few of these. And then of course we've got the new Ghost 4K. So let's get these other ones out of the way and have a look at this one all by itself. So this is the actual Drift Ghost camera, the Drift Ghost 4K camera. On one side we have this large area. Now the camera does have a built-in 1500 non-replaceable battery. On this side here it's actually an additional 500 milliamp battery. And what you can do is I have my little screwdriver with a little bit of electrical tape over top of it so don't scratch up my brand new camera. And what you can do is, it's not something you probably end up doing very often, but you can actually just pop this out, and presumably you could put additional 500 milliamp batteries like this on. You could put on an 800 battery, which is apparently going to be coming soon. They're also going to have an LCD module that you can put on here as well, or even a 4G module. So presumably you might even be able to stream live video or something like that. The details are scant about that. They don't actually list either of those as being available yet on the website. The only thing they have available on the website is a microphone for 20 bucks or a carry case for also available for $20 as well. So, and that just snaps back in again pretty easy. On the underside here we have two little tiny pinholes, and those are where the two microphones are, and I believe the rear one is the one that does the noise cancelling aspect of it. If we flip it around, oops, I just turned it on, didn't mean to do that. And if we flip it around we can have a look. If we pop open this first little plastic tab, underneath here we have where the micro SD card goes. And there's also a little tiny pinhole with an R next to it. And that is how you reset the camera. And these just pop down over top as well. It's actually quite easy to do, I found, when you're holding it against yourself. It's kind of awkward to do in front of the camera, which is why I've got a little screwdriver there. And if we open that up, inside there is a micro USB. And the micro USB is what we actually use for charging. So the other thing the micro USB card is used for as well, if we bring back this box for a moment, and underneath here, if we open this up, lift this up, there's actually two cables underneath as well. What we have here is we have a standard USB to mini USB plug, which plugs in and allows for charging the camera. The other thing that we have is this cable, which if you notice, this camera does not actually have a microphone port. So what this does is an adapter, plugs into the USB and gives you a standard 3.5 millimeter microphone plug-in. So that's how you'd plug in an external microphone. Now, I don't have use for an external microphone on the field. This is more typically used by, I think it's used by a lot of people who are riding motorcycles, doing videos in that regard, because what they can do is they can plug the microphone from inside their helmet into this and allow them to record the audio that they're doing. Now, typically the audio that I would be using on the paintball field, I don't need a separate external microphone for. So a few people have complained about the fact that they have lost the 3.5 millimeter plug for a microphone. However, for paintball at least, I don't see that as being any sort of a big deal. The other things we have on this thing as well, of course, is we have the standard rotatable lens on the front. So if you want to mount it this way up, you can see the little white arrow, it's the right way up. If you put it over, like on the other side of your mask, for example, is now the wrong way up. So you can actually spin it 300 degrees in total, and that puts the microphone, the lens the right way up again. If we spin it around back again, on the underside, we have where the screw mount goes. That's pretty much all there is there. It's also a little tiny opening for the speaker itself. And then on the top, we have the buttons, the power button, we've got forwards and backwards, we've got up and down for the menu system, and we've got the wireless thing as well, because this does do wireless, because there is an Android and a Apple OS app which would allow you to control this. Or of course you can also, it also needs wireless of course to be controlled by the remote control as well. And then the last thing it has is on the very back, it's got a little tiny screen there. I can push the button and it lights up green. It may not be very easy to see, and I'll put up a picture of that if this doesn't turn on a little, because it's bright green and it might not show up particularly well, but that is a small type of a status screen that shows you what your field of view is, what the frame rate is, what the recording mode is, what the battery life is, all that sort of stuff. And that brings up one other point as well, is there are a number of different modes that this thing can record in. If you want to record in the standard 4K UHD, which is 16 by 9, and that's what YouTube uses. That is 3840 by 2160. This will do 4K UHD at up to 30 frames per second. If you want to do the true 4K, which is what a lot of TVs are coming out as, and that is actually a 17:1 ratio, a little bit different aspect ratio, height versus width. It will do, and that's 4096 by 2160. This will do this. This will do that resolution at 25 frames a second. Now, most of my paintball videos, I think I'm going to use this recording in the 4K UHD, the 16 by 9 type of thing, because that's what YouTube wants when you upload 4K videos. It will also, of course, do 1080p up to 120 frames a second, or 720p at up to 240 frames per second. Now, the other thing, the only concerning thing that I read online, image stabilization, the electronic image stabilization in this thing only works in 1080p. You cannot get image stabilization in the 4K video mode. And if that's the case, it's a little bit disappointing. Perhaps they're going to fix that down the road with a firmware update, for example. However, I've been shooting 1080p with no image stabilization in this thing for a couple of years now, and I didn't really miss image stabilization. Now, I think image stabilization may be a little bit more important if you're zoomed in really close, like with a gun camera, for example. It might be a little bit more useful. But like I said, I've been shooting 1080p now for a couple of years without image stabilization, without any sort of an issue. So the fact that the image stabilization does not work at 4K is not going to prevent me, is not going to deter me from recording my paintball videos at 4K using this. Anyway, the other thing that's really cool about this, and one last thing I just want to show you. I know this video is getting long, but it's pretty cool. If we were to just take out this little mount thing, and I mentioned before that there's a little screw hole in the bottom of this. It's a standard tripod size, which is pretty awesome, because if you wanted to, for whatever reason, you could put your drift on a tripod. But what it also allows is that, so this is my Di4. I've got the new smoke lens in it that I got from the Impact Pro Shop people in my $200, my great big mystery box. If you want to go back, have a look at that. I got the new lens in. But what I've been doing is I typically shoot my videos with the Ghost S on the side of my mask. The awesome thing that the drift people do is they use exactly the same mounting system. So I can take my new 4K Ghost, snap it in place, and I'm set to go. No problems whatsoever. The other thing is if I want to go the other way, if I want to put the camera on the other side, it's easy to flip to the mount that I've already put on the other side, give the little lens a twist to make sure it's the right way up, and I'm set. That is pretty awesome. I like this. This is they've come up with a really good mounting system, because you can also angle it up and down as well. You need a little screwdriver to tighten up so it's not so floppy, but it's a really good mounting system, and I'm really pleased that they stuck with it, because it makes it really easy to just upgrade the camera without having to peel those mounts off and stick new ones on and change everything around, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, so that is all that I got to say. Look for some new 4K videos using this little thing coming up, hopefully the next few weeks, whenever the local paintball fields open. There was a lot of snow here this year in northern Alberta. We've got a lot of stuff melting, of course. Things are still fairly wet. So hopefully the paintball field will open soon and I can get some video up with this. Now, Artwood asked me a couple of weeks ago in the comments of one of my other videos how I'm doing looking for a gun camera. And I do have a new one of those that I've been working at behind the scenes for a little while now. I've almost got it all sorted out. And what I plan to do is I plan to put up a video about that gun camera as well, and we'll see how that works. I would not think this would not work well as a gun camera because it has got too wide of a field of view and not enough magnification to get in really close when you want to zoom in and see what you're hitting. So this wouldn't be good for that, but I do have another one, a different type of a camera that I've been working on. I'm going to get that finished off, get up a video about that, and hopefully get you guys some footage using these two new cameras so in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, I'll start rambling. That's it for me. Thank you guys very much, as always, for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Look for 4K videos coming for this soon. Thank you, of course, for watching. Put any comments, put any feedback, put whatever you want down below. I like every single comment. It is great.
And connect the camera via Wi-Fi. It will allow you to remotely control the camera and switch between the modes. You can also synchronize the device with the cloud server to instantly upload your photos and videos there, or even use the camera for live streams. And we can talk as much as we can about the Drift Ghost 4K, but nothing will replace the good old field tests.